Welcome to the KZGN News. Today we'll bring you news from Washington, China Lake, the city, gas price info, and much more. Thanks for joining us for the news. I'm Tom Whitnick, and here's news affecting Ridgecrest and the Indian Wells Valley.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
We'll start today's news with news from Congressman Kevin McCarthy. He released the following statement on passage of H.R. 2898, the Western Water and American Food Security Act, out of the House Natural Resource Committee. He said, "Today we move one step closer to modernizing our water management system by moving legislation that can provide our communities relief from continued water rationing and higher costs. I commend the House Natural Resource Committee for its longstanding work over the past few Congresses to help address California's water problems, and most importantly today, for their swift yet thorough action so this much-needed bill can be considered on the House floor as early as next week." Californians owe a debt of gratitude to Chairman Bishop for his leadership on this critically important bill to our state. Communities across California and America's West cannot afford to wait longer as they face more and more water shortages. This bill offers an alternative to the status quo by clearing up the roadblocks and inefficiencies in complex and often contradictory federal laws, regulations, and lawsuits that block water infrastructure and keep water from getting to the people that need it most. And in another story out of Washington, this week the House of Representatives is taking action against rare diseases such as valley fever. Throughout our community, almost everyone knows someone who has battled valley fever. The trouble is, because it is unique to the southwest region of the United States, the market for medicine isn't as strong as the flu. So our family and friends suffering through the illness have limited options for treatment. That is why I have been focused on providing our national health leaders at the CDC and the NIH a first-hand look at the struggle valley fever can cause, and have pushed federal agencies to continue to take steps that could help incentivize potential treatments. We have achieved some positive gains in the fight to secure detection and treatment options for our neighbors suffering from valley fever, but there is more work to be done. Valley fever may be a disease contained by a regional boundary, but there are 7,000 rare diseases and counting throughout the world, and treatments for only 500 of them. In the 21st century, as technology and innovation have drastically improved our productivity and quality of life, we must seize this opportunity to expand the boundaries of treatment options and build the foundation for the next generation of medical breakthroughs. This week, the House of Representatives is set to pass the 21st Century Cures Act, which breaks down barriers to collaboration that are holding back potential research breakthroughs. It empowers the patient to be an active participant in the treatment process rather than the current bureaucratic one-size-fits-all approach. And it rethinks the outdated life cycle, currently about 15 years, from the discovery of a potential treatment to bringing a drug to market. At the core, 21st Century Cures is intended to spur the innovative spirit that helped eradicate diseases that had previously plagued our communities, such as polio. But with a backlog of 6,500 diseases without cures or treatments, the demand for attention on rare diseases is high, while the supply of resources is limited. Fortunately, valley fever will be specifically targeted in this bill. Thanks to our successful inclusion of the underlying fungi species responsible for valley fever as a qualifying pathogen within the Food and Drug Administration. This is another step forward in recognizing the importance in fighting this disease and eventually finding a potential cure or vaccine. Since the Valley Fever Symposium here in our community, we have raised awareness and continue to move closer to finding treatments and a vaccine for the disease through a randomized controlled trial. This week's consideration of the 21st Century Cures Act broadens out this momentum so we can help create the foundation for more treatments and cures to secure a healthier Central Valley. And now news for individuals with disabilities. The Wounded Warriors learned about NOCWD in a story submitted by Elena Vitale of the NOCWD Public Affairs Office. She reports the Naval Air Warfare Center Weapons Division hosted 2 recruiting events for individuals with disabilities and wounded warriors at China Lake on June 9th and Point Mugu on June 11th. There is a strong emphasis on hiring disabled veterans and wounded warriors, said Joy Hill, Wounded Warrior Project Manager. Their skills and experience gained during service to our country brings a unique and important perspective to our work here at NOCWD. After last year's event, 9 people were hired from the list of applicants. Even Forsyth, NOCWD scheduling section head and Sea Range manager, was a 2010 applicant and spoke firsthand on how these events can change a life. I feel it's my duty to assist those who are making their own transition and finding their way in the NOCWD environment, said Forsyth. After detailing his personal journey from military to civilian life, we want to help them find a good fit while also supporting the warfighter. Event champions Joan Johnson, NOCWD Director of Weapons and Energetics, China Lake, and Thomas Dowd, Director, Naval Air Systems Command Ranges, Point Mugu, hosted the event. It was great to see them here and interested, said Dowd. By holding these events, we hope to bring in the right expertise to support not only the administrative side, but also the types of weapons and test events that we do here. In other news from China Lake, they honored two people's service to China Lake. First they recognized was Bruce Haydolf, a Naval Air Warfare Center Weapons Division engineer. He was recognized for 41 years of service at a flag raising ceremony June 26th at China Lake. He said, "I've had adventures that have been absolutely amazing throughout my career, but I will miss the people the most." He was first hired as a co-op student and spent summers at China Lake while attending the University of Washington. I showed up at China Lake on March 31st, 1974, after riding my motorcycle here from Tacoma, Washington. His first assignment was working in the microwave radiometry branch and imaging. He has worked on the high-speed anti-radiation missile low-cost seeker, precision imaging strike technology integration lab, laser detection and ranging, and most recently in the Advanced Technology Applications Office. Another man honored for his 40 years of service was Mike Williams. Rear Admiral Mike Moran, NOCWD Commander, and Scott O'Neill, NOCWD Executive Director, presented Michael Williams with a 40-year length of service award during a ceremony June 26 at China Lake. Williams entered the Navy in 1974, and his first duty station assignment was here at China Lake. He also served 3 years on San Nicolas Island before returning to China Lake. Williams was honorably discharged from the Navy in 1984 and then began working at the Electronic Combat Range. His range teammates and everyone from around the range greatly appreciates his teaching, coaching, and mentoring, which will allow them to continue the high-quality test ops that are present in the China Lake ranges. And I'll say, way to go, Mike. He's a personal friend of mine. Stay tuned for news from the Ridgecrest City Council after the break. Welcome back. In City Council news, ever since the Council awarded city funds to 4 business startups in the city, there has been various comments between the City Council, the City Manager, and the City Finance Director concerning potential audits of the company's use of the city's funding. It has been reported by the city's Economic Development Director, Gary Parsons, that they have decided to audit 3 of the 4 companies. The city awarded the companies approximately $2 million collectively. In the signed agreements between the city and the companies, they agreed to these audits. The city will do the audits in August. Our local group for the USO building continue their efforts to celebrate their 70th anniversary. National representatives from the USO were here recently helping make plans for the celebration. The celebration is scheduled for October 15th through 18th. The Naval Weapons Center at China Lake and the City of Ridgecrest are supporting this event. The USO building on West Ridgecrest Boulevard is one of the oldest buildings in Ridgecrest. It was used to entertain soldiers and sailors here during World War II. Years ago, it was abandoned and left to deteriorate. About 10 years ago, a group was formed to bring the building back to life in the spirit of its original use. The Historical Society of the Upper Mojave Desert has done just that. It is now a great asset to the city. They host numerous entertainment events weekly at the facility. More than an entertainment facility, it also has a small museum dedicated to the history of the valley and Ridgecrest. They have some amazing pictures of the city from years ago. If you're looking for something to do, stop in any time. You will be impressed with this facility. They are open almost every day. We look forward to their anniversary celebration in October. So what's going on with gas prices? Motorists may want to fill their gas tanks pretty soon. Gas Buddy predicts prices in the region could rise 15 to 30 cents a gallon in the next week. The West Coast inventory of gasoline has declined by more than 1 billion barrels, while fuel imports to the area have been non-existent, according to a report Wednesday by the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Immediately following the report, wholesale prices spiked 27 cents a gallon. The cost of gas per gallon has been falling since May, when prices peaked at $4. Allison Mack, a petroleum analyst at GasBuddy, suggested lower prices have kept overseas shipments from California because there is less profit to be made here. There have been no major refinery issues reported recently. A Phillips 66 refinery in Wilmington is undergoing planned maintenance, which had a minor impact on supply, but it is not the only reason prices rose. Jamie Court, president of the nonprofit Consumer Watchdog, said the rapid price increase is in large part a result of a manipulation of prices by the oil industry. California has one of the highest gas prices in the nation because of high taxes and environmental standards. California drivers pay an average of 74 cents more per gallon than the national average. GasBuddy's analyst doesn't think the price hike will last long, though. Oil prices are still low, Mack said, and it's not going to be a continual increase. Marie Montgomery, a spokeswoman at the Automobile Club of Southern California, said she didn't have any explanation yet for the rapid price jump. We've seen many times before where the wholesale prices spike crazily and then very quickly go back down. So the hope is that this is what will happen here too, she said. A panic is going on. Then when the gas station owners receive more balanced information, the prices go back down very quickly. It's good for consumers that the retail prices don't move as often as the wholesale prices do, which can spike and bottom out one day to the next. Mack said Tesoro refineries on Thursday shut down supplies to unbranded wholesalers in California in response to the tightening supply. Although supplies are tight, Tesoro will supply only major chains under contract, not independent outfits, she said. So it sounds like wherever you may travel in California in the near future, you'll be seeing higher gas prices. Now, in KZGN continuous effort to provide news and information on our local gas prices, here are today's gas prices. Well, in last Wednesday's report, I noticed prices were not going down but steady, and a couple of our local stations even had a price increase. I was hoping this didn't indicate a general upswing in prices. Well, while generally steady, there were more slight increases in our monitoring area. As of this morning, Ridgecrest is ranging from $3.25 to $3.89. Lancaster from $3.35 to $3.69, the LA Valley area $3.27 to $3.87, and Bishop area $3.67 to $3.83. We have one station coming in at the $3.25 figure and only one station at the $3.29 figure. Our other local prices ticked up yesterday. Tune in with us Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for updates. We at KZGN always suggest you shop locally to support our local economy. Remember, when you pay any sales tax out of town, you are helping those cities pave their streets instead of here. Stay tuned for sports and weather when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. Let's go to Keith for the weather.
Thank you, Tom. The National Weather Service is forecasting a risk of severe thunderstorms across parts of the Ohio Valley, including much of Kentucky and adjacent areas of southern Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and West Virginia. Temperatures across the nation. Massachusetts came in at 75, Ohio Valley 72, Kansas 82, Texas 89, New Mexico 72, Arizona 95, and Los Angeles came in at 70. And here's our weekend forecast for the IWV. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low around 70, southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour with gusts as high as 15. Saturday will be sunny with a high near 94, south-southeast wind 5 miles per hour. Saturday night, mostly clear with a low around 70, southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. On Sunday, it will be sunny with a high near 98, light southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday night, mostly clear with a low around 71, west-southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. And things heat up on Monday with sunny and hot weather, high near 100, west wind 5 miles per hour. And that is your forecast for the IWV. Now back to Tom and the rest of your KZGN News.
Thanks, Keith. Now Tom Heck with sports.
And a very pleasant Friday afternoon to everybody. Let's start with the Dodgers. They shut out the Phillies again for the second night in a row. The Dodgers take 2 of 3 from the Phillies. The Dodgers now, as we start play tonight, 5 games and a half over San Francisco, who lost again last night to the Mets. The Giants have lost 8 of 9. They are struggling offensively, and if they don't get Hunter Pence back, I don't think they have much chance to compete against the Dodgers. And really, the Giants are the only team the Dodgers Astros have to worry about in the West. That's how weak the West is. All right, Cleveland beats Houston 3-1. The Astros have a 1.5 lead over the Angels, and the Angels had their 5-game winning streak snapped last night in Seattle. King Felix Martinez went 7 innings, gave up only 3 hits, and had the Angels shut out. Final score 7-2. The same teams play tonight and Saturday and Sunday before the All-Star break. All-Star game next Tuesday in Cincinnati. All right, speaking of the Reds, they lose to Florida last night in Florida. And St. Louis beats Pittsburgh. The Cardinals, 56 wins, 30 losses. The Pirates, 50 wins, 35 losses. 2 best teams in all of baseball, unfortunately in the same conference. That means that the Pirates, even though they're 15 over, now trail St. Louis by 7 games in the Central. The White Sox beat the Jays again. The Jays back at 500. They've been up and down all season long. Kansas City beats Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay now has lost 6 straight. They go home to play against Houston. That's 2 teams that are both struggling. Oakland loses again to the Yankees, this time by a score of 6-2. The A's now 10 games under 500. The American League East, very intriguing right now. The Yankees have a 3-game lead over Baltimore, but Baltimore, Toronto, Tampa Bay, all within 2.5 games of each other. And the Red Sox, who were 10 games back 2 weeks ago, find themselves now within 5 games. So everybody in the East has a shot. In fact, the Red Sox have won 8 of 10 games. All right, tonight the Dodgers and Milwaukee, 3-game set in L.A. San Diego goes to Texas, and the Phillies go play the Giants. The Giants need some wins. The Phillies, the worst record in baseball. Maybe this is their chance. Okay, sad note to pass along. NFL great Ken the Snake Stabler, who played for the Oakland Raiders, also played a couple years with Houston. But Ken Stabler, one of my heroes as I was growing up, a Super Bowl champion back in 1977 with the Oakland Raiders, had some great years, 6-time a Pro Bowler, Super Bowl MVP the year in 77, also an MVP in a couple All-Star games, died at age 69 several days ago because of complications from colon cancer. Now, Stabler also attended the University of Alabama. He led the Crimson Tide to 2 NCAA championships. He was a left-hander. He was as strong as an ox, and he was one of the diehards. He would never want to come out of a football game, no matter how hard he was hit. So he was one of those guys from back in the old era that you could hit and he just wouldn't go down. All right, I want to also close with a note that the NBA, it looks like Kevin Love is going to stay in Cleveland. He and LeBron had a long heart-to-heart talk, according to the ESPN reports, and it looks like Kevin Love will stay in Cleveland. LeBron signed a 2-year contract worth, who knows, probably could buy a couple islands. That's your sports for the weekend. I'm Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. Office of KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We all thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only locally owned community TV station. Now stay with us for Ridgecrest Talk coming up next. Have a good weekend.